Hi, my name is Caitlin Harvey, and I'm here to bring you some information that junior parents should be thinking about regarding post-secondary planning. Before I begin, the first thing that I want to make sure that you all do is follow Student Services on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is listed on the slide here at MHS Student Serves. Please follow us on Twitter to make sure that you are getting all of the important information that will be coming out over the next few days and few weeks, and even through next year to graduation. It is really important for you and your student to know who your student's counselor is. Counselors will be able to help guide you and your student through the whole post-secondary planning process. Students are assigned counselors based on their last names. Students with last names A through CL, Mrs. Cahoon is your counselor. Students with last names CO through HE, Mr. Flowers, last names HI through ME, Mrs. Adams, MI through R, Miss Geyer, and S through Z, Mrs. Harvey, myself. We also have a Dean of Students, Miss Barnes, who is over all of Student Services and can help you with any questions you may have, as well as other support counselors in our offices who will be able to assist you at different times also. Please reach out to us via email if you have any questions at any time. When I say post-secondary planning, I mean what your student wants to do once they graduate high school. We want to make sure that all of the students attending Millbrook High School have a plan so that once they graduate, they know what they are going to do next. There are many different forms that post-secondary planning comes in and many different options for your students to pursue. There are four-year colleges, two-year colleges, community colleges, and military options, as well as working directly after high school. In terms of four-year colleges, there's private schools and public schools both in and outside of North Carolina. When I say two-year college, we mean two-year private residential schools. The one that many of you may have heard of before is Lewisburg College, which is only about 45 minutes from here. Community colleges, the community college right in our backyard is Wake Technical Community College, though there are many different community colleges throughout North Carolina and the United States that our students choose to attend. There are also military options, and we do have military recruiters for each branch of the military assigned to Millbrook. So if you are interested in going into the military or talking to any of those recruiters, please just let your counselor know and we can make sure that you have their contact information so you get the most information that you possibly can about this option. If your student thinks that they want to work directly after high school, we do have a career development coordinator. Her name is Miss Frazier. And Ms. Frazier will be able to guide your student in making resumes, doing job interview practice, as well as making sure that your student knows the companies in the area who are looking to hire high school students directly after graduating. Before your student can begin planning for what they are going to do after high school, we do want to make sure that they meet all of the requirements in order to graduate from high school. In order to graduate from high school, all students need to have completed 26 credits. Those credits should come from the following areas: 4 credits of English class, 4 credits of math, 3 credits in science, 4 credits of social studies, 1 healthful living credit, and then a bunch of elective credits as well. You will want to check in with your student's counselor if you are unsure if they are on track to graduate to make sure that your student is on track to graduate and has completed or registered for all of the classes that they need. If your student has already completed most of these requirements, it may also be an option that your student could graduate early. We have an early graduation ceremony every year in January, and if you're interested in early graduation, just reach out to your student's counselor and we can provide you with an application and let you know whether your student may be eligible or not. If your student is looking at a 4-year college for their post-secondary plans, we want to make sure that you are aware of the UNC system entrance requirements. The UNC system refers to all 4-year public schools in North Carolina. The UNC system has minimum requirements that your student must meet in order to be considered for these colleges. Now, just because your student meets the minimum requirement does not mean that they will be getting into that public school. However, it does mean that they have met that minimum requirement and therefore could be considered for those public schools in the North Carolina area. Those requirements are Very similar to the graduation requirements in terms of credits that you need. You would need 4 credits of English again, 4 credits of math, 3 credits of science, only 2 credits in social studies, and then the big difference in terms of credits is that your student also needs 2 credits of the same second language. So that means 2 classes of second language in the same language. So at Millbrook, we offer Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Latin 1, Latin 2, Chinese 1, Chinese 2, or French 1, French 2. If your student has not signed up to take those courses yet, they can still take Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 or French 1 and French 2 during their senior year. Just make sure that you contact their counselor to make sure that they have registered for these classes. The other big requirement that you will want to keep in mind are the minimum entrance requirements in terms of entrance exam scores and GPA. In order to be considered for any of these 4-year public schools, your student must have a minimum 880 on the SAT or 17 on the ACT. They must also have a minimum GPA of a 2.5 weighted by the end of their junior year. That is because the end of your junior year GPA is what colleges are going to see on your student's transcript when they are applying to schools during their senior year. So again, these are the minimum entrance requirements for any 4-year public school in North Carolina. If your student does not meet these requirements by the end of their junior year, you will want to start looking at community college options, 2-year college options, and 4-year private school options. One big part of the planning for college process is to make sure that all of your students have taken the college entrance exams. The 2 main college entrance exams are the SAT and ACT. Most colleges will accept one test or the other test, so your student doesn't necessarily need to take both tests. However, we do recommend trying both tests out in order to make sure that your student has the best chance of scoring the highest. Some students perform better on one or the other. The tests are offered in different locations around the community. You will register on their prospective sites. So for the SAT, you register on collegeboard.org, and for ACT, you register on act.org. The test dates are listed on the PowerPoint here, and you can find additional information about this on their websites. For all of the students who were in school on February 25th, all juniors did take the ACT for free at school, and all students will be able to use that test score in order to send to colleges their senior year. However, we still suggest taking the SAT at least once in the community or the ACT again. If you are concerned about how to pay for the SAT or ACT, or concerned about the financial means of any part of this process, please talk to your counselor. We have fee waivers available. You may be thinking, what can you do right now, or what can your students start working on right now? There are definitely some things that you can work on right now in order to help get ahead and not be as overwhelmed going into your senior year. For one thing, there has been a lot of interest in the dual enrollment program. Dual enrollment is where you can take part of your classes over at Wake Tech, our local community college. If you are interested in participating in dual enrollment, there are information sessions posted on the Wake Tech website. Right now, all of the information sessions are virtual, so you can complete them from your own house and follow the process very carefully in order to enroll in these classes at Wake Tech for the fall semester. There is more information also listed on the Student Services website and the Wake Tech website about the dual enrollment CCP program if you are interested in this. The other thing that you and your student can start doing right now is creating a preliminary list of schools that your student is interested in. If your student is interested in going to a 4-year public or private school, or a 2-year school or community college, you want to make sure that you do your research now. Create a list of schools that fit what your student is looking for. You want to make sure that whatever your student wants to study, the schools that they are looking for have that course of study there. You don't want to say that you're studying engineering and then go to a school that does not have an engineering program. So right now is the perfect time to create that spreadsheet And get organized before college applications open. College applications will typically open in the beginning of August, so you and your student can look out for that in order to make sure that your student does start those applications before they head back for their senior year. Another thing that your student can be working on right now is completing their brag sheet and resume. We have templates for brag sheets and resumes on our Student Services website, though they do not need to use our templates. A brag sheet and resume is a way for your student to tell their counselor and their teachers more about themselves and what they do outside of the classroom. One part of the college application process is that your student will have to ask for recommendation letters for many schools. Therefore, many teachers and counselors will ask for the brag sheet and resume. If your student has some time now, this is a really good way to get ahead so that they are not overwhelmed when one more thing is being asked of them later on. Make sure your student just focuses again on keeping their grades up and making sure that they registered for challenging courses their senior year. Although colleges will be looking at the end of your junior year GPA, colleges do see what classes students sign up for their senior year, and you want to make sure that your student is continuing to challenge themselves and take rigorous courses. Again, please reach out to your counselor if you have any further questions, and we will be happy to guide you in any part of the post-secondary planning process.